A rose between two thorns this afternoon. I'm here with Anthony Winholscher and Simon Pitt, the two masterminds that founded or created the idea of the AHC. So Simon, can you tell me a bit, can we go back in the past? I think it's 6 years ago or something now. Yeah. How did this all happen?
So I probably can't remember 6 years ago. I think it was when I was working for Sebastian at the time and knew Anthony for many years, and we happened to be at Andre Boyer's leaving doing the Brisbane Hotel, and as we do when we've had a few drinks, we did what Anthony and I always do, which is start talking about the industry and how certain things need to improve, and we found that we were the two grumpy old men of the industry that night, and we spoke and we chatted and kind of started from there, didn't we? And I think you came up with the name The Cause.
Yeah, we created The Cause.
Yes.
And that developed momentum because we put one simple little story in Culture magazine about the number of ads for hairdressers that you'd see on a typical Saturday morning in the local daily, and we said the headline for the page was "What's wrong with this page?" Because with all these ads in the paper, no one in salons seemed to have any success in actually getting staff. And so it wasn't through lack of trying, and it became very clear that there was something really rotten with the industry that needed to be addressed. And that was that salons generally had dropped the ball when it came to actually treating staff well. And then we discovered through a whole range of other levels of investigation that it wasn't just about looking after staff, it was also how you ran your business, and it was also how you presented yourself and whether you were ethical in your marketing, and just a whole array of things that had nothing at all to do with being a creative hairdresser. So from The Cause, we started some industry think tanks, and Simon was involved in those, and then we got a working group together, and here we are 6 years later where we've actually been able to develop the actual AHC, or the Australian Hairdressing Council, with the Salon Select program, which addresses the 5 key measures that we think a salon needs if they're going to be recognised by the community as being a good, positive, happy place to be, not only for them as clients, but also perhaps for their children to go and seek a job. And for people who are working in these salons, thinking that for me to have some success as a hairdresser, rather than having to open my own salon with no business skills, maybe I can have success within this salon, and both me and the boss can grow together.
It's also about people's perceptions outside the hairdressing industry of what people think about who hairdressers are. I remember when I told my father I was going to be a hairdresser 27 years ago in the north of England, his words were, "No damn son of mine's going to be a damn puffy hairdresser." And whilst that might not be as pertinent now, it still has this thing where the thought process of the hairdresser probably haven't done the most school courses and that sort of thing. And I kind of drifted into hairdressing, and it was trying to get people in the outer world to realise it's a really good industry, and it's not just about standing behind a chair. There's so many more things you can do with it, and things like Hair Expo, magazines, travel the world, become an educator, own salons, make money. There's more to it, and I think people's perspective of it is far too narrow of what they think the hairdressing business is about. So the AHC is as much about building the profile of the industry as it is with things like this to say, look, we are taking it on board ourselves, but generally profiling the industry. We got involved very early on with Canberra, with the governments, and speaking to the right people, just to sort of find out what we needed to do, just to sort of get ourselves on the right track. And it's taken a while, but good things do take a while to get going.
So how have you found the demand for an industry union? Have you found a lot of people have come aboard with this program?
I think in the early days there are certain other bodies around in the industry, and one of our earliest challenges was to convince them we weren't trying to take anything away from them, because they had, for instance, we don't deal with legal issues in the AHC. It's not our bag, so we put them to the industry person that does that. We just had a few little, just people just working out how we're going to be, and just saying, look, this is where we want to be. We want to be the marketing front piece of the industry. You guys do the legal side and all that sort of in the back room. We'll do what we do. But once and that takes a while, because those have been around for a long time. But generally, it's been a great. It's like any small group. We've grown nicely, gently. Everyone speaks to someone else, gets someone on board, like-minded people, and I think we've got a good critical mass now, especially if you look at the people who are on Salon Success.
So who have you got that's signed up to this?
Well, the Salon Select program, to get it right, we did a pilot program in the second part of 2010, and we had salons that we felt would be able to contribute to the development of the program as much as we could contribute to their success. So we invited salons from across the country because it's important that this is a national endeavour. And this is interesting too, there are no national bodies that engage all facets of the industry, because we not only engage hairdressers, we also engage the manufacturers and the service providers. And we thought it very odd that all the traditional associations that were state run, they did not include manufacturers. And by doing that, they were basically counting out half the intellectual base of our industry, and our manufacturers are partners to the salons for the success of what we do as hairdressers. So for our pilot program, we made sure we engaged people from across the country who used products and had relationships with all the key manufacturers, so that we could gauge what was most important in the various standards, and we could get the appropriate levels of feedback. And those salons include people like Katerina DiBiase with Heading Out, and Brad Nada with Brad Nada Hair Directions, and of course Oscar Cullinan with Oscar, and Tony and Guy, and we have 70 of these very significant salons, large and small, who were part of our pilot. And what we're doing at Hair Expo this year is now releasing Salon Select to the next tranche of salons, which is limited to 250 that we want to engage over the next 6 months. So everything we do is done in a progressive fashion, which means we can control the growth and we can ensure that every standard is maximised, rather than it just being another great idea where you just tick the box and every child wins a prize. Because if we do that, we're doomed. The only way AHC is going to be successful is if AHC Salon Select means something. And it's a bit like the CPA accreditation for accountants. CPAs are now recognised as the go-to accountants because they've done a very good job ensuring that not only do they have minimum standards for those accountants that join, but they also transmit that information to consumers so that people automatically think CPA when they think accountancy. We want people to automatically think AHC Salon Select when they think, where should I have a haircut, or where should my child or my student be thinking about seeing when they're looking at their career.
Where to now? What's your main focus for this year?
Well, to get the 250 additional salons signed up and accredited for Salon Select, and also to grow our associate membership, which are other service providers to the industry who are not salons, because it's absolutely important that not only do we have manufacturers, but we also need to have educators, we need to have media, we need to have other service and goods providers to the industry outside of hairdressing. For example, utilities companies, energy suppliers, internet suppliers, and so on, so that we can engage all people who have a stake in the success of the Australian hairdressing industry within AHC or within the Australian Hairdressing Council, so that this means something and it actually becomes something that outlives me and outlives Simon.
Anything to add?
No, I think AHC, we started 6 years ago, and I think we got to the point now we have this credibility within the industry, which was probably the hardest thing for us to start and create. The feedback Anthony and I both got was, not another association. The industry doesn't need another one. No, we're different. Yes, everyone says we're different, but we've stuck to our guns. It's about building the credibility and the image of our industry, and I think Salon Select has done that and will progress to do that. And people say, as Anthony says, if I'm to be taken seriously within my area where I work, I need to be part of the AHC, and it's going to become our vocal point. So anyone from government who wants to discuss anything going on with our industry will come to the AHC to see how the best way to do it, rather than going to someone who they just know. We have a national body, because that was one of the key things that we didn't have, and caused a lot of issues between different states. Now we have a truly national body who just represents hairdressers. We're not representing Anthony or Simon, we're just representing hairdressers, and that and it just absolutely encapsulates what we thought of at the time, was just build our profile. And I think we've got a fantastic platform now to do it. I think people forget how much work someone like Anthony's been doing in the background, because everyone sees Anthony as Mr. Hair Expo and I think he's been retired for the last year driving around his bus. He's been working tirelessly for this. I know he has. We speak probably once or twice a year. And you just know that to get this off the ground has taken a lot of work from a lot of great people, just constantly not letting it go. It would have been too easy to say no. I spoke to my old friends in the UK and I was telling them, I said, oh geez, good luck. You know, and to my knowledge, they still haven't managed it over there. They have some great institutions, but not in what we're trying to do. And I think we're probably one of the world's first. And I think we've done something absolutely phenomenal here. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, it is a great thing. It's something that this industry needed. Being a creative industry, it's often forgotten as a trade or as a profession. So, you know, it's fantastic and it'll take off as it is.